Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's Tech Bytes session, Unlocking Veeam Backup as a Service for Service Providers. My name is Kirsten Stoner, and today I'm joined with Anthony. Anthony, how are you doing today?
Not too bad, not too bad. How you going, Kirsten?
I'm doing good. It's another Thursday, another day living the dream. We have you joining us on this Tech Bytes, which is kind of like a rare occurrence because, you're on the other side of the world.
It does happen every now and again, though. I have done this before, so it's not the first time, not the first rodeo, but I'm excited about this one.
Yeah, me too. I mean, service providers have been a part of Veeam's DNA since, ever since I started here long, long time ago. So I'm excited to talk more about the backup as a service offering and dig into the weeds a little bit more. As you know, Anthony, as a service offerings have become more increasingly popular over the years, and this could be for a variety of reasons, whether, it's just the on-spread adoption of cloud applications, or maybe organizations want to reduce hardware on site and having to manage that hardware. However, for whatever the reason, more organizations are looking for more as a service solutions, looking to adopt these solutions. So, really, to enable our partners, Veeam introduced Veeam Data Cloud for Microsoft 365. So, providing our partners with reliable, cost effective, first party software as a service. So, Anthony, I know that you worked at Veeam now for a while. You used to work for a service provider before you started working at Veeam. So how do you see Veeam Data Cloud and how do you see it fit into service providers' ecosystem currently?
Yeah, well, firstly, you mentioned a few good things there, right? Like, so obviously, we know that the market has shifted a fair bit. We understand that a lot of organizations are looking for simplicity and efficiency, and that typically comes with as a service software, right? So no matter what it is, whether it's accountancy, whether it's financial, whether it's management, CRMs, whatever it might be, the shift across the board has been towards as a service. So with Veeam, we introduced Veeam Data Cloud last year. That was our first party as a service offering, primarily focused initially on the protection of M365 workloads. And it's been really successful, right? We've had great traction in the non-partner land and just customer land, direct sales and whatnot. But we understand that service providers have an urge to want to leverage this as well. So it's really important to talk about how they can leverage it. But I think more importantly, if we step back and think about how Veeam has, like you said, supported and been part of this VCSP or Veeam Cloud and Service Provider ecosystem for over a decade. Like you said, I worked at a service provider before this and the one before that as well. It's when I first used Veeam to back up an infrastructure service. So literally for the past 15 years, literally, we've had service providers leveraging Veeam to protect their tenants' data, right? Which is so important. So we're trusted in that space. We're definitely very successful. And now we're at this interesting phase, where their customers are asking them, hey, do you have any first party offering as a service that you could actually leverage through Veeam? But we want to buy it from you. Like, we don't want to buy it through Veeam. We love Veeam, but let's go through you because you're our trusted advisor. So I think that's a thing that service providers, have to grapple with a little bit, to be fair. Me as a traditional service provider guy, it was difficult to first comprehend and have the validation inside that, as a service is right for service providers. But looking at what we're offering, and we can see on the slide here, we've got a fairly complete offering that we're looking at from a future perspective. Now, what we've got on the slide here, Kirsten, is a little bit of futures as well. We should actually say that. But when you look about the pillars of Veeam, right? Backup, security, recovery, freedom, and intelligence. Not only are we leveraging those in our Veeam data platform, our traditional software, but we're bringing that into Veeam Data Cloud as well. So, what do you think? Like, where do you think the advantage lies with VDC for service providers and partners itself?
I would have to say that really utilizing VDC as a service provider is really going to help give you more options when it comes to choosing what might be best for your customer, right? Traditionally, I'm more of like a hands-on girl, and I really love to, build my own stuff, manage everything, be in charge, right? And sometimes, it might not be done as well, or maybe it might cause me more stress or cause me more problems and challenges if I manage everything myself. But really using it as a service offering like Veeam Data Cloud, it's going to take some of that management, that complexity off of my shoulders, and I'm going to be able to use this software as a service to easily manage my tenants and their backups and their restores. So I think that it really helps provide service providers, like if they have the expertise on staff to build their own, manage their own, and really just have everything in house, then that's awesome for them. But some service providers might not actually have those capabilities, or maybe they are low on staff. Maybe the last person that was helping do that left. So this is just giving them another option to be able to provide, a trusted backup solution to their tenants, right?
You've hit the nail on the head. There's a couple of different classes of service providers. There are the ones that want to build and the ones that want to buy. And that's a term that we use. It's an industry sort of mantra, build and buy. But what does it really mean? It means there's a class of service providers that are always going to want to do things themselves, innovate and offer the services because they've got, to your point, the in-house capability, they've got the drive, they've got the infrastructure, they've got the manpower to be able to do it. They like building innovative solutions on top of great platforms like what Veeam has. And then there's another class which probably fills out the lower end of the market that satisfies the more SMB side with your sort of lower end traditional MSP, managed service provider, who are a trusted advisor to these, SMEs or mum and pop shops, like we like to say. And typically those are the ones that are the sweet spot for Veeam Data Cloud, because to your point, it can be messy. There can be a lot of day two operational complexity that comes with running these services. Not only do you have to worry about, the infrastructure, the storage, the networking, but then it's also, the support as well. So if a first party offering like Veeam Data Cloud for M365 can take that away and just let the MSPs do their thing, which is basically support the customer, manage their solutions end to end, and this is another checkbox in that play, that's a really good thing. So I think this is where it's going to be really successful for us and for our providers as well.
Yeah, for sure. And I've had the opportunity to see. I work at Veeam, so I've seen Veeam Data Cloud in action. I've gotten several demos of it, and it is very intuitive and a nice, easy to use interface that Veeam customers know and love, right? And it makes it backing up Microsoft 365, and then also restoring that very easily. What has your experience been like using Veeam Data Cloud, Anthony?
Yeah, I mean, if we look at the slide here, I mean, to our point before, everything's included. So you've got the service delivery, the partner control, and then you've got configuration end to end. There's reseller configuration, end user self-serviceability. So everything that you'd expect within a backup as a service offering, we do have it in this solution here. The benefits as they stand for VCSPs, I mean, it's all pretty logical, right? We're leveraging the partnership that we have with Microsoft. We know that we've had this strong relationship. We just actually announced a couple of weeks back again a doubling down of that relationship, an investment, Microsoft, and we leverage our Veeam Data Vault, which we might touch on a bit later on. That's built on Azure technology to start with, but the fact that we're building this on top of Azure, leveraging that tech, it gives an added tick in the box to making sure this is a very safe and secure solution for the MSPs to trust for their own customers. All-inclusive services, again, for an MSP, cost is important. For a tenant, cost is important, right? To be fair, VDC, the costing is there, and our providers typically will create some sort of solid pricing anyway. But in terms of differences, in terms of egress charges and ongoing maintenance and support, at least you don't need to worry about that. Data center charges, everything like that just gets taken care of because it isn't as a service.
Oh, wait,
I
so
guess,
that's all included within the price?
yeah,
Oh,
well, of course, yeah. Because I think, well, I say of course, but obviously to your point, maybe some people don't understand that, but effectively all you're doing is paying per user per month, right?
mm-hmm.
And that's what the end user pays, that's what the reseller pays. The VCSP with M365 can consume it via points as well at the moment. So we'll talk about where that stands a little bit later on. But I think that's important. But then what's also interesting when we look at the quick time to market, to build these solutions, VCSPs and partners would probably take 3 to 6 or 12 months to put it through initial R&D, some staging, some internal development. If they want to integrate it with their own consoles, it takes a long time. So that's all well and good if you've got, say, M365. But we saw in the first slide these new workloads that we're looking to put on to VDC. So all of a sudden, we've got Salesforce, we've got AWS, we've got Vault, we've got whatever you can think about, as a service that Veeam might offer. All of a sudden, when you're using Veeam Data Cloud, you don't need to think about that initial stage of constructing a service. It's almost like when we put it out there, it's switched on automatically for themselves, for the VCSP, and their clients as well.
Yeah. So you mentioned, Veeam Data Cloud Vault. So what it like in your own words, I know what it is, right? But or do I know what it is? I don't know. I'm just kidding. But what is Veeam Data Cloud Vault? How can service providers use Veeam Data Cloud Vault in their environment?
Yeah, so Vault is our storage as a service, which is tagged onto Veeam Data Cloud, but it's also provisioned and managed through Veeam Backup and Replication as well, right? So this is our first foray into storage as a service. It's really competitively offered in terms of no egress charges and no API charges. So you don't get any bill shock. And again, we've co-created this and co-gone to market with Microsoft, right? So we've built this on Microsoft technology initially. And the biggest problem with any object storage or cloud-based storage is always cost. You just don't know how much it's going to be in terms of total storage. But then, more importantly, on the flip side, API cost, everything that you do traditionally within the public cloud for S3 or Blob or whatever it might be, there's incremental charges, API charges for every little put, get, whatever you want to call it, every operation. And it all adds up. And surprisingly, we've seen some really huge bills through just that. Now that's saved on the overall cost. But then it's actually that Hotel California situation, right? You can go in, but you can't go out. You can never leave because a lot of these clouds will charge a lot in egress to move data out. So in the context of backup, where that's important is that if you're doing a recovery from Vault or any cloud-based object storage or repo, and you want to pull that back locally to your on-premises location or wherever it might be, in theory, if you're getting charged egress, then that's going to cost you a lot of money. So one of the big things about Vault is that, again, we save on that egress charge. So there's a flat fee, there's two variations of it, there's two different levels. I'm actually surprised at how popular it's been to start with and the desire for our VCSPs and partners to want to consume it at the moment. It's really good. At this point, Kirsten, it has to be said that we don't have any VCSP points plan available for it, so you can't consume it as points. But VCSPs can go through the reseller channel to buy it like that if they want to. So it's available, but not quite in points. But we're getting to that later in the year.
Yeah, I think too, from my opinion, the Veeam Data Cloud Vault, like you mentioned, it is really helps with the whole bill shock thing. I even know, like from our lab experience we have here in our little lab that we use, that sometimes you put backups in the cloud or you do some restores or you spin up some machines, right? And you're all of a sudden you're like, oh my gosh, like my bill is like $1,000. It's been a month. I mean, that's kind of small change to some big organizations, but just being able to be more controlled with costs and not have that bill shock is really useful for organizations. So we touched on this a little bit earlier, but with VDC, it's a first party offering. It's already built. So in your opinion, what do you think about why would a service provider want to use Veeam Data Cloud instead of something they built themselves? Or what do you think about that?
Yeah, I'm going to go to a slide here, which is all about choice, right? I'm kind of going back and forth in the slides. That's okay. We're getting there. The great thing about Veeam always has been choice. We've always talked about agnosticity, whether it be hardware, whether it be file system, storage, security now. Veeam has built a very strong ecosystem play built around choice across the board. We're extending that with this, right? So as you can see on the screen here, we really want to give our customers choice. So as a customer, you go, okay, how do I want to deploy Veeam? any Veeam application, whether it be backup replication, M365, whatever it might be. You can do it on your own premises, okay, on physical hardware or virtual hardware, whatever it might be, and then as a service. And as a service now splits into two fields, which is our cloud and service providers. So the guys that want to build, like we talked about, the innovators, the top partners that want to build it themselves and control it end to end. Or we've got the Veeam Data Cloud, which is our first party. So I think this lays out the fundamentals of choice. Now, as a VCSP, as a managed service provider, typically you are the voice of reason to your customer, right? You're the trusted advisor. So typically we would trust you guys to be able to make the decision for your customer to work out where they should put their backup software. And it's all going to be a horses for courses thing. Not every company, not every organization is going to want to go first party BaaS. In fact, what we know and what I've been hearing about more recently is that in Europe, they're really actually pulling back due to country regulations, compliancy to actually be on premises, right? So you can't go BaaS first party in certain parts of Europe, in certain jurisdictions or whatever it might be. In APJ, it's a little bit different. In America, it's different again. But this is the power of choice, right? We're not going to try and force you into the bucket of just one particular solution, right? And I think that's quite significant. Now, going back to the first point, yes, we understand that there are a lot of companies that want to go with the simplicity and the efficiency of backup as a service, as a first party offering, and that's where Veeam Data Cloud comes into play.
Yeah, and I do like that about, Veeam is that we do give them that power of choice. We've done this for years when you think about Veeam Data Platform, Veeam Backup Replication, being storage agnostic, being able to, store your backups on any storage you would like. And then if you also think about, data portability, right? Being able to restore machines from VMware to Hyper-V to Azure, etc. So just, almost continues that, I guess, company value, you could say, of portability,
Yeah,
flexibility, being able to choose what you want to do with your data, which is very important because it is your data. So you should be able to say, like, okay, I want to build this on premises, or, I want to use this first party offering, right? So I really do like that. So even when, a customer or a service provider wants to say, they're like, I don't want to do this software as a service offering from Veeam. I want to build my own Microsoft 365 backup. What are some challenges do you think that they might face if they choose that route?
yeah. Well, I mean, like I said before, it's that initial planning stage. It's the testing. It's the validation of the product. What storage you're going to use. How do you size it? How do you manage it once it's been put into production? I used to build these things, when I was working for service providers, and there's a huge process there. So everything like before must be considered, but then more importantly, and I think where sometimes it's even more important to think about what you could go through afterwards. Day two operations, we hear that quite a bit in this industry, right? So how is it going to be to support the customers, support the growth of the storage, support recovery, support self-service, all that kind of stuff, right? And again, the bigger providers can definitely do that with ease and absorb all that and work it into their offerings. But it only takes one particular scenario for the economics of hosting a service to be blown out the water if you're a smaller provider in this case, right? So I think that's a big consideration to take.
Yeah, for sure. I can actually just imagine you right now, planning out an infrastructure, in the boardroom saying, okay, we need this many servers or we need to install this. I just pictured that when you
It was
were.
fun. It was fun. I
It,
miss it.
yeah, I'm sure. I mean, it's just another challenge. Like it's always exciting to, like I said too, like build something yourself. Like what do we need? What do we have? You have your whole team together. But in the same aspect, that time you're spending building that could be spent doing something else that you might be more strategic to your business, or maybe, getting more customers to use your service during that time you're
Yeah,
building out. So I could see that being something that you need to make a decision on whether you want to do or not, right?
absolutely.
So with VCSPs, I know we talked about Veeam Data Cloud, Veeam Data Cloud Vault. What are some things that they can sell today that's, I guess you could say, on the truck?
On the truck today, like I said, it's M365 at the moment, right? In terms of through the points plan, through the traditional VCSP route per point, the SKUs are all there. So that's today. Later in the year, definitely we're looking to get Vault into the mix. No time at the moment. It's ready when it's done at Veeam, as always. But that's the next cab off the rank. And we've got a few bits and pieces coming. I'm sure you saw in the first slide. I'm not going to go back to it, but there's things like Entra ID, Salesforce, there's Kirsten. There's a few things that we definitely are looking to put into Veeam Data Cloud. Hopefully, as they come onto as a service, we can also enable them for VCSPs at some point. Now, I'm not going to guarantee that we're going to do it straight away because obviously, that's basically a wait and see approach. But at the moment, it's all about M365, which, as you know, is still growing significantly. Businesses, majority of there's still a total addressable market that's huge out there. And it's definitely one of the more complex solutions to host yourself as well, which is why we think it lends itself to here you go, Veeam, you guys look after it for us. We're just going to talk to our customer and get it set up type of solution.
Yeah, so as a service provider using Veeam Data Cloud, right, and you're protecting your tenants with Veeam Data Cloud, what is the multi-tenancy like in the platform? So if I install Veeam Data Cloud, I onboard a customer, right? Do they have access to the web portal to perform restores or to run backups, or do they always have to go through the service provider to do that?
Oh no, there's self-serviceability within the UI as well. So I think that's a key point is that there's self-service capability in there for the customer, the end user, the reseller to do what they've got to do their recoveries. And we're only going to enhance that as we move forward and increase the scope of the product as well. So I think one thing we probably need to touch on before we finish is also like futures, like what especially around Vault and having Veeam Data Cloud backup storage and data within our tenancies for the customer. What does that enable, right? Like we've got to think about exactly the future. And we've taken, 23 minutes. We haven't talked about anything with generative AI yet. And I think that's pretty cool in itself. But I'm going to talk about generative AI because think about Vault. Like Vault is basically a place that you can put all your data that you're backing up from your VMs on premises, no matter where it is, into the cloud. It's an object storage in the cloud. It's a repository in the cloud. What we're enabling, hopefully in the future, is the ability to tap into that data and unlock it. Right? We've talked about making data work for you for a number of years with Veeam. We've had the data integration API and bits and pieces there. It's a real core tendency of what we want to achieve as a data protection and a resiliency company. So think about the opportunities that exist. If you have all of your tenants' data in Veeam Data Cloud in the Vault, and then we have services that can tap into that data and make that data work for them for more than just backup. So, leverage the power of what we've got with generative AI today and machine learning and all that kind of jazz and make it work on that data. I think that's a real exciting future for that. Now that's me putting my forward-thinking thought leadership hat on, but I think that's absolutely where this goes in the future. No ETAs or time frame on that, obviously.
Yeah, I love that. And also, it was just really nice. You mentioned generative AI and your whole face like glowed with excitement.
Oh, did it? Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
I did
you
get
were
excited.
like,
I do get
yeah,
excited by it.
you did. But that is cool. I think that there's a lot of stuff that we can do with AI and, just even unlocking, more insights into our data is, really important, really cool. And even using AI to even filter out things like thinking about like personal information, personal identification information or something,
Yeah.
and you're storing that data, or you need to find a certain item and using AI to remove it. So there's so much that you can do there. And I do think that as, more people start, using AI it's going to become more knowledgeable. It's going to start learning more. And, even as, technologists, right, as we use AI more and we get more familiar with how it works and the technology behind it and what it can actually do, we're only going to use that technology to be more innovative with our products. So I think that there's a lot there too as well. And I'm excited to see about the future of AI. I feel like I got a little glow as well, just just
You got excited
thinking.
too. There you go.
Yeah, so what are we seeing here? So we have some resources
But
that
yeah, so
partners
there's
can
some
check out.
resources. Yes, obviously go to the partner portal where you guys have normally gone. You'll know if you know. Obviously, we've got some partner resources there from enablement. We've got VDC resources and facts for partners, product overviews, everything that you need to kind of work out how best to position it to your customers. The great VCSP team has gone through and done a lot of the legwork for everybody there. So I'd encourage everyone to go and check out on the Pro Partner Network, Pro Partner Portal, get in, take a look, because there's lots of good stuff there.
Well, thank you once again, Anthony, for joining us on this week's Tech Bites. I hope we can get you back on here in the future. What do you say?
Absolutely. Give me any opportunity and I'll be back for sure.
Awesome. And thank you to everyone for joining us today, and I hope you have a good rest of your day.